yeah, going back to the theme, care instructions. It's funny because look at the proposals, it's really nice to see how different people interpret what that means. The name itself of care instructions also came from looking at the, the labels on clothes, like those are care instructions. It's like, how do you actually take care of this thing? So it's kind of a play on that. And also, when we think about instructions, often it's this list of like, these are the things you must do. And I think as you also consider what it is you're working on for the festival, also play with that, right? It's like, you've been told what you must do, or maybe it's not really told that in words or written down, but just in how the environment that you grew up in, what society is telling you, and so how do you think about that must, right? Like you have to do these things. Are there questions around what it is that you feel like you have to do? And are there also sort of impulses that you have of like, no, but we must be doing these things? Or things would be better if we actually did things differently. But it's not like you must come up with a set of instructions by the end of it. It's really just think about that notion of what are we told about how we take care of the environment that we're in, what have I learned, what is it that I want to pass down, what is it that I want to question, and what is it that I want to invite other people to question.
I think that maybe to mention that, like Tessa said, you don't have to stick to what you said in your proposal. Like I think which exciting about you guys was not just what you said you were going to do, but also what you've done, like what you had done, right? So there was like proof of process there. There was proof of like some kind of introspection or some kind of thought, even in your earlier work. So just trust that we've got your backs. We're here for you, whatever questions you have. Talk through the work. That's my favorite part of this, my whole thing. I read so many proposals where I was like, oh, but then if you do this, but the person didn't say that in the proposal. So this part I'm super excited about, really that whole like, I call it pollinating, like in the, you've seen artists in residence here that will come with their own ideas, but the fact that you spend so much time with other people, they end up like pollinating your work, right? And you pollinate just
I think with that, it also speaks to the importance of communication. Because as much as possible, basically from day one, you're responsible for your timeline and for, working towards the festival and deciding what it is that you need in order to do that. And so if you would like to have, more conversations with Darlene, for example, then you ask for those, right? Like, for the most part, we trust that, you have an idea in mind and that you know where you want to go with it. And so don't want to be like, checking in, like, okay, what's the timeline, where is this, like, message you, not reply. Trust that, you're independent, as she mentioned, we looked at the work you've done, like you've done this, it's just in a different iteration to a different audience in different spaces. So we're here for you, but you also need to ask for what it is that you need. And sometimes you don't always know what you need, but a conversation helps with that. So really like open communication, knowing that you can reach out, don't pose questions or pose concerns, like, oh, but we didn't have a question. Please feel free to reach out. If you know you're the kind of person who's good at reaching out, but need someone to check in on you, you can also say that, right? So it's also up to you to know what it is that's helpful for you and to be able to ask for it. So essentially that's kind of how the May, June, July, early August will work. But we're really hoping that by the 1st of August, the work is complete and set up. So, welcome Patrick Maundu, who's joining us from Kenya. He drove here. Wow. Amazing with his whole family.
Wow.
So we got to know Patrick through TICAH, who I think some of you have worked with, who's a great time. So TICAH is the Trust for Indigenous Culture and Health, based in Kenya, and Patrick serves on the board. Patrick is an ethnobotanist who works at the National Museum of Kenya, the Kenya Resource Center for Indigenous Culture. He's also an honorary fellow at Biodiversity International, formerly International Biodiversity. Patrick has devoted much of his life to research and promotion of local food. He led a multi-institutional traditional vegetables research and promotion initiative in 10 African countries that saw the return of traditional vegetables in the Kenyan market. For his efforts, he was recognized as a guardian of biodiversity in a global campaign for diversity for life, and in addition received the International CGIAR Communication Award in Washington. Lately, Patrick has been coordinating a community-based research project which aims to understand the link between diversity of plants that households have access to and their dietary patterns and nutrition stakeholders. Patrick is a member of the African Ethnobotany Network, the Kenya Society of Ethnoecology, and the International Society of Ethnobiology. He's working on the foods of the Eastern African people, also guides of foods of the Nairobi people, recipe book on African leafy vegetables collected from 12 countries, and participants in methods in ethnobotanic research. He's the principal author of 2 books, The Traditional Food Plants of Kenya, Useful Trees and Shrubs for Kenya. And he's also editor of the Useful Trees and Shrubs of Ethiopia, and more recently, Food Raising for Pokot and Isuka communities. Welcome back.
That's it. Let's look at the title. The place of art in the repair and maintenance of our health as humans and the health of our planet. I chose that title because of reasons I'm going to share with you very soon. And I want you to really think of health in the broad sense. Health is a loaded term. It can mean your health as a human being. It can mean the health of our ecosystem, the health of your neighbor, and the health of the planet as a whole. So you can extend that, the meaning of health, cover many aspects. And then why repair and maintenance? Repair because we feel in many cases things have not been going in the right direction. We need to do something. And once you have done something, we need really to maintain that tempo. So, what do we want to achieve today and tomorrow? I would really be happy if you get the deeper understanding of what indigenous knowledge is. I've been working in this area for the last 30 years, so I really have something to share. Although in my training I like to be I like my training to be as interactive as possible. Because I always believe, because I've been working with elders and farmers all my life, it's always something to learn. So let's be as interactive as possible. So, we'll share indigenous knowledge, the meaning of it, as inherited instructions that have relevance to our subject of today, health. and environment. And then we'll also look at indigenous knowledge. We'll also look at how indigenous knowledge connects with health and conservation of our heritage, and particularly what we inherited in terms of biological heritage, our biodiversity. I'll talk about those terms later. So, the link. Knowledge and then the link. And then what kind of trends? What we see, what's happening to indigenous knowledge, what's happening to health, what's happening to our planet, biodiversity. And then we'll finally see where now you come in as artists. I hope I'm not going to paint a terrible picture on what's happening to our globe. But even if I do it, I know you have a role in sort of reversing some of the trends that are happening. So let's go straight to the next slide. So let's look at these terms. As I said, I know some of you may not hear this because of the fact that we all come from different disciplines. What is indigenous knowledge? And then we'll also look at a term which you come across every now and then, especially if you are in the food world, food sovereignty. And then you'll also sometimes when you meet this terminology, food system. And then we're talking about heritage. I work for a national museum in Kenya, which is supposed to preserve the heritage of the country. What do we mean by heritage, cultural heritage? And then we'll talk about this terminology, which might also be strange to some of you, biodiversity. And in some cases you may hear genetic resources. What do we actually mean? And then conservation, you are familiar with that, the nutrition and bit of health. I'll talk more about this as we go along. Let's start with indigenous knowledge. So, what is indigenous knowledge? Assume you have not seen that. Let me hear now contributions to this. I say we have to be as interactive as possible. What do you understand by indigenous knowledge? And no, I've also heard terms like traditional knowledge. Wow. Then traditional technical knowledge, local knowledge. All of this. So, what is it? First of all, what is knowledge? What we need. Huh? Volunteer. And let me tell you one trick. When you have something in your head, always say it, because somebody else will say it before you. It's so that I didn't say it. Or, if you are a little bit timid and you don't want to say something, consult your inner self and say, so and so, say it. I can say it. So, convinced by yeah. So what is, first of all, let's start with knowledge. Very simple. Yes. Yes. Our understanding. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yes, indigenous knowledge. And indigenous? Do you understand?
For me, I would say
local knowledge.
yeah.
It's local knowledge.
Yes. What I understand the indigenous knowledge is the understanding that we as a result of how we produce.
Yes.
How
That knowledge, indigenous, yes.
Yeah, it has informed their understanding.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. Thanks. Huh?
The way I understand the Indigenous ceremonies
Huh?
is these are some of the actions and practices that they do in those particular
Yeah.
I think there is a correlation between it being a specific people but also a specific place.
Place and time. Huh? Yeah, it has, religion has a sort of what we call a spatial element and a temporal element. Time element and a place element. Okay. Let me just give you a few examples. For example, we know, somebody say this from the back, I saw that. We live around Jinja and Iganga and like that. That's very true. Yeah? But you grew up in Kampala. So you're not indigenous here. You're indigenous in Kampala. Kampala. Okay. Let's look at the Pasoga. The Pasoga. Are they indigenous to that area where they live? Huh? To some extent. Why do you think so? But we know they moved from elsewhere and came there.
They have maybe history of this place.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, everyone. Nobody can claim to say that. Yes, that's where time comes.
They have been in Kenya for as long as you can say. As long as your parents' lives, your great-parents, if you go back, you trace that they have been in that
Yes.
area for quite some time. For like 500 years and so you do things.
500 years makes it indigenous. Yes.
I think it comes from a point of
Yes.
the name.
Yes.
That name given to these people.
Yes.
Because when the Bantu were coming through, let's say East Africa,
Yeah.
the Warren group that were there.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
And when they settled, it's when they started dividing themselves to these initial places. And that's where the history started.
Yeah.
I'll take that was the genesis of that history.
Yes.
And that history came with rules, principles,
Yes.
to learn how to evolve. And that's where the indigenous knowledge comes from, in my aspect.
Okay. Okay. Good. But the Bantus came from somewhere. Cameroon, Nigeria, borders. And then 5,000 years. Then they migrated all the way to Kenya. But then we say indigenous as time. Let's go back to something you say. Really. When you say something is indigenous, it means for as long as that thing has always associated with that place. You get that? Okay. So we can say the Bantus are indigenous to Africa. But probably not in the time. Because we know they move. The banana, you like matoke so much, eh? Hmm? It's not indigenous to Africa. It came from somewhere in South Asia. Specifically Papua New Guinea. We know it came. But then, 1,000 years. The banana. came here, it became part of your culture. It's so much embedded in your culture that anyone will say it is indigenous. Yes? But would that really qualify it to be called an indigenous plant or an indigenous food? That it?
I feel like it's very tied into the what you said about my heart.
Yes.
And as long as we
Yes,
know.
as long as we know.
person who knows. We all forgot.
Yes. Do we know that it came from outside? Do we know that it's exotic? So, now you know. It's exotic. So it's not in you.
Yeah.
That's Uganda.
So once you know, it changes.
It could be because there
It is
there are
indeed.
species of bananas that we have here.
Yes.
Okay. That's a different subject. I'm glad you brought that. Now, anything that might have evolved from Uganda, of course there are varieties that have evolved here. They are evolved. There are varieties that evolved from here but didn't come from anywhere else. Those are unique because they came from this side of the world. Yeah. Now, let's look at this. So, anything, so long as we know something came from elsewhere, we cannot really, it doesn't qualify to be called to that specific case. But you can get, like, as you say, Bantu like Indians, we can take Africa as the continent where, and then just before we started. But now, look at this. The bananas came, and then it became part of your culture. So, we have said they are not indigenous. So what are they? They are part of your tradition. Yeah, it's true. Because you have a lot of knowledge about its cultivation, processing, consumption, and so on and so forth. It's become part of your culture in Uganda. So what do you call that? Traditional. Traditional. It's a traditional crop. It's a traditional food. It's part of your tradition. So do you see the difference between the two terms? Indigenous and traditional? Yeah?
Yes.
Do you see that? So because it's part of your tradition, it's a traditional food, it's a traditional crop, it's part of your traditions.
Yes.
Is that okay? But anything that came from outside is exotic. Or it came from outside. It was introduced. It's introduced from elsewhere. So let's get those terms correctly. So for indigenous knowledge, it's knowledge that is handed down, indigenous knowledge, from generation to generation. Of course, you got something from your mom, your dad, or whoever, your neighbor. And whatever you got, that was part of the community knowledge. You don't know where it came from. It's always been part of that community. Okay? But then as you grow up, you enrich that knowledge with interacting with her, interacting with whoever is around you, interacting with the environment. You also enrich it. So knowledge is also not static. The knowledge you gain from your community is not static. It continues evolving as each one of you gains experience from here and there. Is that okay? So that's why I say over here, over time, through interactions with the immediate environment. So it's not static. You have a question? Yes.
So if indigenous knowledge is knowledge that is passed down from generation
Yes.
to generation, is it possible that now we have indigenous knowledge about the bananas,
Yes.
but not of an indigenous plant? That's an exotic plant,
Okay.
but we have this
Yes, you can have indigenous
about-
knowledge about the banana because of where it came from, the knowledge where it started. Yeah. We say
came from here. We know it came from here.
Or like the way we cook.
Yes, yes. That knowledge is indigenous
Yeah.
to this place.
So something can be exotic at the same time offer indigenous knowledge.
Yes, because the origin of that knowledge is here. Is here. Let's separate the two. Knowledge is from here. I remember reading a story about, Speck, when Speck came to Uganda. And I think another gentleman, Barton, who was the somebody? Barton, he came to Uganda.
Yeah, indeed.
And I remember reading this sort of diary, and he came to this area around Kampala, and he found people eating matoke, bananas. And of course, the bananas, as I say, came to Uganda here over 1,000 years ago. They came through Madagascar, and then they were picked by the Bantus, and then over to Uganda. And you should see the way he's describing how people love matoke, and that's 18 something, probably 1870 or something like that. And one thing he mentions about the banana is that the culture is so rich in terms of banana. And then he talks about the chicken and the fact that some of you do not eat the what? The gizzard.
The gizzard.
Yeah, the gizzard. But now you look at that account, you see some of these practices have carried on up to the present day moment. Like I know in Western Kenya, you go to Western Kenya, and you as a woman, you are not allowed to eat the gizzard. I don't know how it is here.
Some customs.
Yeah, because I mean it's preserved for men. Right?
Yeah, that makes
Yeah, and they say you eat the gizzard. You'll start fighting your husband. Right? And those are cultures that have existed all the way. Anyway. But the point is, we now know the definition of indigenous and traditional. Any questions? Let's continue, please. And what is local knowledge? What is local knowledge? Yes, it's local knowledge found in a specific area. Is that okay?
Yes.
And then traditional ecological knowledge. It's about the ecology, the environment. Sometimes you can also hear terms like traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge, we say, is knowledge which is gained because of being part of the culture. Any question that far? Let's look at some of the terms again. When you sing in your traditional song, that's a cultural expression. For example, because of the fact that you belong somewhere, you must know some traditional songs. If they sing maybe during ceremonies. Those are cultural expressions. Can somebody else tell me a cultural expression? Another cultural expression. I'm saying this because that's how IK, indigenous knowledge, is expressed. Cultural expression.
I think that could be like dancing, like cultural expressions. To think about like cultural dances and drumming,
Yes. The way you dance is not the way my community dances, right? So the way I express joy is not the way you express joy. The way I greet is probably not the way you greet. Look, some of our expressions, like when I say, what does that mean to you? In some cases, some communities, that means don't get near. Back off. Huh? Some communities greet, and at the end of the greeting, they press you really hard.
Yeah.
Who does that? Those are cultural, Baganda people. At the end of the shaking, they really press you hard. Those are cultural expressions, and they are different depending on the community you belong. The Kalenjins that, and you have some in Mount Elgon, do that a lot. Press you really hard. Even winking, that means different to different people. Huh? So those are cultural expressions, and it's important to know that the way you do things is not the way other people do things, and it's not the way they understand. Okay. So those are cultural expressions. And cultural expressions can be things which are tangible, or sometimes which are intangible. Can somebody tell me an example of something which is intangible? Cultural expression or knowledge which is intangible?
Proverbs.
Proverbs? Yes. Can you touch proverbs?
It's language.
Language.
Yeah.
Language, you cannot touch. Something intangible.
Yeah.
Songs, can you touch them? Yes.
Even music.
Even greetings, yeah. Yeah, relating. Those are cultural expressions that are intangible. Go read something about the 2003 Convention on Intangible Cultural Heritage. That's an exercise I'm giving you. Yes, and then we can talk about it later. How about tangible expressions?
Fashion.
Heritage. Fashion, architecture, those are tangible, Yeah, the way you build your house is not the way others do their houses, yeah? Let's continue. Tangible. Food. Stools, the seat you sit on, the way you do them is different from the way the other community does it.
Expression of
Beauty, the way we adorn ourselves, our attire may be different. All those are tangible cultural heritage, and they can be expressed in very different ways. Okay, also all those are cultural. How about this? Genetic resource. What are those? And related to that is also that term I introduced, biodiversity. May not be familiar to some of you, but let's from now on get used to it. What are genetic resources?
I think genetic resources would be the way people that belong to a particular group resemble.
Yes.
Like you can recognize them just by their features. For example,
Yes.
Baganda are known to have big bums.
So
it is a genetic thing. You will see across.
It's genetic. These are genetic expressions, Yes?
What I saw.
Yes. Yeah.
And then also like how you know that if there is someone from this tribe running that marathon, no one else is going to win.
Yeah.
Because of the genetic. Okay. Something else? Yeah. So we are all different, when it comes to, because our genetic structure is different.
About that, I really have a question because
yes,
I think the first time I interfaced with Kenyans, I didn't see Kenyans, I saw Ugandans.
The first time
I saw Kenyans.
Yes, yeah, you saw.
I
you
saw Ugandans
yes.
because I couldn't tell the difference.
The difference between Uganda and the
yes,
Kenyans. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is bothering me about the genetic resource being different.
No, but when you're in Nairobi, you can identify like 3 different kinds of people. There is the ones that look like that sort of have smaller eyes.
That was my observation. Yes.
So you see it, like every time I pass someone on that street, I could be like, this person is from, maybe this person is from the coast. People from the coast tend to be lighter. And this, even if they have all Kenyan parents, this is because of the Arab interactions that happened previous to their being born. So you find that you can tell, like,
I think there's more, there are different types of people in East Africa.
Yes.
So you find people in Kenya that belong to that look like people in Ethiopia or in Uganda or in Tanzania.
Really
you go to Ethiopia, there are people that look like Ugandans, Kenyans, Rwandans. So it's a whole.
Really fascinating. Really fascinating, eh?
But my question about this is that why are we calling it a genetic resource versus a characteristic?
Yes.
Is there a difference?
Okay, I'll come to that. I'll come to that. A resource is something you can use for your advantage. Eh? So you can block this for now. Eh?
Okay.
Yes. A resource is something you can use for your advantage, eh? Or to improve your livelihood or something like that. But for now, let's just concentrate on genetic. Eh?
I think one other thing we could look at is how all cattle keepers sort of look the same. You go to the Pokot, you go to Western Uganda, you go to Rwanda or wherever they have similar features. I have no idea if it has anything to do with the cattle. Maybe it has something to do with the cattle feed or the food.
Interesting. Those are people. How about plants? Same. Huh? Same, yeah? Some look very close to others.
So there is this factor where someone is from the north, originally, and then they interface with another environment, and they tend to take on the characteristics of that environment. Yes, and I think that comes from the environment itself, the food, the way they dress.
The environment, I'm glad you brought this discussion. The environment plays a lot in shaping what sort of culture we are going to, or traditions we are going to adopt. Because your traditions are sort of influenced by the environment. Equally, it's true.
Yes.
Now, just before we continue, those who have read a little bit about the human history, we all came from Africa. Whether you're in Antarctic, Alaska, Australia, wherever, we all at one point we are in Africa. And then we came out of Africa in what they call the Great Migration. And people occupied the different continents. The Americas being the last ones to be occupied, about maybe 40 to 25,000 years ago, just recently. But now, if we all came from Africa, why are we different? Some people are white, some people...
According to where we live, I think we evolve according to the environment.
Yes, because of the environment. If you go to Europe, for example, the more north you go, probably the whiter you become, because you don't need melanin. Melanin is the dark dye or coloration that you need to have to keep yourself from ultraviolet rays. For example, if you go to swim in Mombasa, where it's very hot, of course, your skin turns, it becomes very dark. Because your skin responds. So the more north you go, the lighter you.
And the more Asian your eyes look because of the snow and how reflective it is.
So anyway, the environment shapes us a lot. And the environment also shapes our culture, as I said. Look at where are your people most diverse? For example, in Uganda. No, I'm not saying about recent history, but like 100 years, 200 years. Where are the communities most diverse?
Stories like areas near water.
Where are the languages are most diverse? Listen to this.
Entebbe.
Around Entebbe. That's where you have the highest concentration of languages? No, I don't mean recent history. Where do you have the highest
I think
concentration?
there's a lot of exchange of languages between Uganda and Ginger because of Uganda and Soka because of trade and the water. So there's even the names of places in Ginger in Uganda and the ones in
Oh yeah.
in Kampala
Yes.
and Lusaka.
Yeah. Check this and just check for yourself. Where you have mountains, where you have forests, that's where you have the highest number of languages. Why?
Resources.
Yes, could be resources, but also separation. Separation. Because if you are in a mountain, you can occupy this ridge, another group occupies that, and because you are separated by the ridges, you tend to develop a different language, accent, and so on and so forth. So you find around mountains and in forests, because you can hide, like in Congo. Congo, there are lots of languages because of that separation. So separation changes language. Also, the environment you are living in influences the terms you are going to also develop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That makes sense, eh?
Yeah, I want to say something.
So if you, just before you continue, so if you look at the mountain like Kilimanjaro, just look around Mount Kilimanjaro, Mount Kenya, the Ruwenzori, Elgon, you'll find that many dialects and communities that live around here because of that element of separation. So separation or lack of interaction helps the growth of other languages. And also now the environment also has some other influence. So we are still here where now that indigenous knowledge also is influenced by all those factors.
No, I want to say
yes.
For Congo, we have a lot of
communities. Mountains, yes, in the east.
But we don't have many dialects in the east.
Yes.
So it's kind of tricky compared to what you say.
Yes.
Yeah. But
you come from the east yourself?
Yes, I'm from a small town called Butembo. Yeah.
And where exactly?
It's
is it toward Goma or Kisangani?
Yes, in the north of Goma.
North of Goma?
Yeah.
Or close to the
actually not far from the border with
the Bongo area.
From Butembo we can see the
Ruwenzori, yes? Oh.
And the people living in Butembo.
Okay. That means probably you recently occupied that area. It's not, you are not old.
No, but I think it's still valid because I stay on the other side of Rwenzori,
yes,
and
yes.
there's 5 different languages.
Yes.
In just my
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Shula, Konzo,
Yeah.
so many different languages on this other side of Rwenzori. So the separation of
this side
yes. So that separation.
And because that's tribe occupy like a big part of
You can have the big tribe, but if you look at the tribe, it also has many dialects. The way you call this.
We have maybe clans.
Yes.
But we speak the same language.
Yeah, the language may be the same.
Yes, the
That was
same.
our accent.
Accent and some of the terms, terminology.
No,
Okay. Go and observe and then let's
Maybe I have to
let's keep in touch. Yeah. Yeah. But I will not this, that separation tends to create accents, languages, different terms, and separation can be brought about by the fact that you are in different environments. You are not interacting. If, for example, in a forest, mountains, and so on and so forth. But where you have one uniform environment like savanna, you interact a lot. Huh? You interact a lot, and therefore, the fact that you interact with variation of the tendency. Okay, genetic resources. Let's go back to this genetic resources. Like the Fulanis are from Senegal all the way to almost Sudan. And if you look at them, they more or less look alike. Okay, genetic resources. So anything that has genes and we can exploit it for our own advantage is a genetic resource. Matoke, for example, how many types do you have? We have bogoya, we have those are genetic resources. Genetic resources. Lots of them. Yeah. And I guess the same goes for the local vegetables you have. You have vegetables like
cabbage.
No, cabbage.
Not even cabbage.
Yeah. Dodo, nakati, buga.
What is the cassava leaf? Sombe.
Yeah, sombe. And so on and so forth.
Is it ours though?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's
Yeah. By the way, talking about indigenous and the exotic and traditional, is Congo, the Congo.
Yeah.
Congolese, I know they like cassava so much. Cassava leaf. Yeah? You go to some of the supermarkets in Rwanda. You see there. They like them so much. Cassava leaves, eh?
Yeah, amazing.
What, by the way, what do you call it?
The cassava leaves?
Yeah.
In Swahili it's sombe, in Lingala it's pondu.
Pondu. Mm. It's part of your culture. It's really part of your culture.
Like traditional as you say.
Yes. But still, it's not indigenous, eh? Because it came from South America. Cassava came from South America.
Yeah.
But then it's part of your culture, part and parcel of your culture. That means traditional crops. Even the practice of eating cassava leaves is indigenous to Congo. Because you go to South America, that's not the practice.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are we? Genetic resources, yes. Yes. Even animals. Yes. Yeah. Genetic resources, anything that has genes. Even bacteria. You ferment milk. You ferment milk. Fermentation comes as a result of bacteria. Bacteria help in fermentation. So those are genetic resources. Yes. What else? You have mushrooms, I guess. These are genetic resources. Because you can use foods to advantage.
The Pokot have a certain tree that they use to preserve their milk for up to 2 years.
Yes.
That does
As a genetic
that.
resource.
There is something I'm wondering
Yeah.
About genetic resources.
Yes.
Do our economic activities come from the genetic resources? Because the practices that Ankole people do are not the practices that Abaganda people emphasize.
Yes.
Same with the northern people. They are literally different.
Yes.
These are people that the north people practice a lot of bird hunting.
Yes, bird hunting.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
And then the
To them, those are genetic resources.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the Baganda are more into farming.
Yes, exactly.
Literally.
Again, because of that culture we talked about, because of our culture, and the way we started our life. Maybe let's get to the next slide. That may help us a little. It's not very clear, but you can see these are the languages you have in Uganda. There are about 38. But there are about 3 that are not here. Around 3. So you have about 41. What we can call, in loose terminology, indigenous languages. So there are about 41 languages in Uganda. But as you said at the very beginning, the people in the north, of course, many of them tend to have their origin come along the Nile from the north. They came from the north and settled there. And some, of course, went around like Victoria, all the way to Tanzania, like the Luo. Yes?
Yeah.
Those are Nilotic speakers. But you also have another group which is here. This one. Those green is Bantu. Then you have what we call the Sudanic groups that came from the Sudan, but they are not exactly Nilotic. Yes, and then you have other groups. Actually, this area has lots of communities. The area around Ethiopia and Sudan, southern Sudan, has some of the highest concentration of languages, biggest diversity.
Yes.
Because as you said, we all came from Africa, and particularly that area. Particularly that area. Why? Because it's so mountainous. So mountainous, especially in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, you can move like 100 kilometers and there will be different languages. Every other 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. And not even languages, but different features, completely different features. Because of how things started, as we said, is the origin of the human species. Okay, so again, 41, each with different culture, customs, genetic makeup, and so on and so forth. But of course, we are interacting. But even if we interact, will there come a time when we will be all the same?
No.
We say culture is static. We say culture is static. I want your opinion. We say culture is not static but dynamic.
Yes.
Did we say that?
Yeah.
So, will there come a time when I'll have the same culture like you or like you? From what you have talked about.
What I'm thinking right now is this, that the father, the
what
world,
you inherited and what he inherited is different.
Yes.
In many aspects.
Yes.
Will there come a time because of your interaction, and let's say maybe you married from across the board, will there come a time when we exactly the same?
No, actually,
in terms of culture, not features.
It gets more diverse.
Yeah. Because as we merge two cultures, we create even
You
more.
create more, eh? I like that.
Yeah.
You create more, you create more.
Definitely.
But also, as everything around us evolves,
Yes.
culture, it means also our cultures will evolve.
Will there come a time when culture will be one time where there will be no culture? In the whole world.
No.
We'll all be the same.
No.
Electronic.
Okay, maybe we won't have
Digital.
maybe
It's still a culture.
I think we won't have what we call culture now.
Yes.
We'll have a sort of culture.
Yes.
We'll have it culture.
Yeah.
Culture is the way of
For
life.
example,
Who say?
Africans are different from
Who says we will never be the same? We will never be the same in terms of culture. Who says? Because of TikTok and everything else,
So never
Yeah,
be
we
the
will.
same.
we'll be nearly the same.
Nearly the same.
Nearly the
Nearly the
same.
same. Not the same, nearly the same.
Nearly the same.
Yeah, okay, nearly.
Similar.
I don't know, you can hold on to your opinion, but my opinion is we'll never be the same.
Yeah.
Because of what we say, environment and distance.
Yes. True.
No, but now
Environment, genetics, distance, they can never be the same. Because if you are,
as long as
this new sense of
Yes.
culture where it interacts with
yeah,
so
yeah,
many different parts of culture
yes, yeah,
that you are nearly the same as those people,
Yeah.
but not the same.
not the same. It can never be the same. You'll know how, I mean, you'll be influenced by TikTok and whatever, but still, your environment will be different from those of the people living in Australia and so on and so forth. So it will never be the same.
Yeah.
And that's why we have what we call communities.
Yeah.
Communities are people living in the same environment and tend to think alike.
Yeah.
And as soon as you move from a community, you go to another community, or even a county, the thinking is a little bit different. Like when I came to Uganda, twice I've asked people to prepare tea. It's not done the same way as it's done in Kenya. And yet we are just here. It's not done the same way.
Yeah.
It's done differently. Yet it's just tea. Simple. It can never be the same. So never worry. We'll never be the same.
Yeah.
They'll never be the same, but I think it's
Yes, some aspects. Yeah?
like homogenization
Yes.
and globalization.
Globalization.
Say, for example, if we think about food,
Yes.
the homogenization of seed,
Yes.
and the fact that despite the fact that we prepare the food in
Yes.
different
Just
ways,
listen to this. This is important.
the actual ingredients, like now there's only 1 or 2 types of carrot.
Yes.
There used to be 50 types of
Yes.
carrot. So we're making and preparing the food in different ways, but
Yes.
the core of the biology of what we're eating is more or less the same.
More or less the
And then
same.
the homogenization with, like, you know, when you're going out for a meal nowadays, you'll have maybe a burger or a pizza,
Yes,
something
yeah,
that globally is known as food.
Food.
You know, so there are going to be aspects of our biology which are more the same
Yes.
as we blend and as we get to
Yes,
know each other.
yeah.
Yet at the same time, of course, they'll never be the same. And
Yes.
I think it's important to focus
Yeah,
on
yes, yeah. We'll come across this again in my presentation, how some of these things are really affecting our ways of eating and so on and so forth. But it's good you brought that point so that at least we don't move ahead with that, the notion that even our foods would remain isolated and so on and so forth.
In that regard,
Yes.
because the question was whether our culture will ever be the same.
Yes.
My understanding of culture
Yes.
being the ideation of a group of people
Yes.
is that ideation and biology different
Yes.
because in my understanding, I feel like you could share like
Yes.
the biological aspects
Yes.
and yet your culture is different.
Yes.
So I need
Like
clarification on that.
the question of the carrot.
Yeah, like
Yes.
if it's genetic, then it's
Yes.
our genetics because of the food
Oh.
is starting to align.
Yes.
Does that mean that if the genetics are aligning, so there's culture?
Yes.
Because my understanding right now is that those two don't go hand in hand.
Yeah.
But is there a possibility that they actually culture to different people.
Okay.
Like I could come from the US,
Yeah.
and I share biology with those, like the genetic composition with my people, but because I have grown up studying here in
Yes.
Kampala,
Yeah.
my culture is actually different from them.
Yeah.
So I just need clarification.
Okay. Let's listen to this. Let's listen to this. What affects culture more? Is it your genetic makeup or your environment?
Environment.
The environment. The environment is really, really major. But the other aspects of the fact that you are, some communities are taller than others, and so on and so forth, that affects in a way, but very, very insignificant. Yeah. Okay. Can you go up a little bit? Okay. There, I think that's, this is where we stopped now. So, indigenous knowledge, as we say, can be very wide. It cuts across every aspect of your culture, be it food and nutrition, traditional medicine, heritage, your cultural heritage, heritage sites, like which one?
Rocks. Kasubi
Like Kasubi too. Attire, traditional attire, your adornment, technologies, innovations, music and dance, myth, folklore, all this. And you can go on and on. Architecture, many of you are here, architecture and so on and so forth. So every aspect of your life somehow has some form of indigenous knowledge. What's the difference between traditional medicine and herbal medicine? Traditional medicine and herbal medicine. Or traditional plant. Or medicinal plant. What is it? You've heard of the two, medicinal plant, traditional medicine. Are they synonymous?
I think traditional medicines are tied to a location.
Yes.
For example, Uganda has its own traditional medicine.
Yes.
Ankole has its own traditional
Yes.
medicine.
Yeah.
Then medicinal plants could be any plants that can be used as medicine. Any plant that heals.
Yeah, quite close. Anyone else? Yes. Traditional medicine and herbal medicine.
Yes, traditional medicine.
Yes.
Because of how we define tradition,
Yeah.
it's like something that has been repetitively done or used over
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
Then whatever falls in line with that is traditional medicine. For instance, like for the last 50 years maybe,
Yes.
Panadol is like for headache.
Yes.
So I think it qualifies for
Panadol is for everything.
It's part of your tradition, eh?
Yeah, like the other medicines for headache, but in Uganda, you say I have a headache.
I have pain.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah.
herbal medicine is
Herbal medicine.
now herbal medicine is the one that comes from.
Yes, good. Let's see other views.
In my aspect, traditional medicine is used for a specific role in a specific environment.
Yes.
I'm going to give an example of
Yes.
Echoge.
Yes.
The Baganda have Echoge,
Yes.
and literally even other places have Echoge, but
Yes.
the way it's prepared is different.
Yes.
Yes.
Good.
And
Echoge.
yes, Echoge is this. It's the it's
Herbal.
like that mixture that's made for a kid when they're just born.
Oh.
Maybe to give them blessings and yes. But then
Unity,
yes, there is a way it's prepared in Busoga that it's not prepared in Uganda. And now that's traditional. It's traditional medicine.
Yes.
Herbal, it comes from the natural plants.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, look at medicinal plants. Medicinal plants come from plants. That's clear. Medicinal plants come from plants. But traditional medicine, some medicine comes from animal products. Even earth, soil, and some minerals. Huh? So traditional medicine is wider than just herbal medicine. It's more encompassing. Traditional medicine is more encompassing.
Yes.
That's true.
It can have genetic resources and even other geological material.
Would I've seen people that have been bitten by snakes and they tell them to drink their own pee.
Yeah.
Does that count as traditional medicine?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. But not herbal medicine.
Don't do it. I do.
Yeah. So, is this statement correct? IK, what is IK? Indigenous knowledge. It's getting lost, diluted, or even adulterated.
I would say it's true.
Yeah?
But I would say it's true, but at the same time, I also feel that culture can get lost. It
Yes.
transforms.
Yeah.
But the other two might be true.
Yeah. So you would rather have IK is getting transformed. Yes. From the discussions we had. And then diluted.
That's something.
Yeah. And then adulterated.
I could agree with that statement.
Yes.
Because personally, I don't have a lot of the information my mom has now.
Yes.
Because she
died with it.
She's not transferring it to me. So I'm making an initiative.
Let's say your grandma.
Yeah, my grandma.
Is she
Whatever
still
she
alive?
knew. No, I don't have any grandparents. So all of that died with her. She didn't pass it on to me or my sisters. So that is lost knowledge. Although some of it is getting transformed,
Yes.
which I agree with, most of it is getting lost. Especially with the older generation.
So you'd rather have it's getting lost,
transformed, diluted.
Adulterated.
The dilution leads to the transformation.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that used to be like a thing where the villagers could come together. Now we do a baptism. So it is transformed.
Yes, transformed.
Into baptizing.
Yes, baptizing.
But it is diluted because all the things that were done, the folk songs, the work, are not there anymore. So, and also adulterated.
Yes.
Because
Adulterated also.
with the same example. They, for the twins, there were some vulgar things that were said.
Yes.
Just some. Little vulgar things that were. Just removed, just scrapped off, like, you know what, fine, we can transform this into a baptism, but we can't be swearing, we can't be doing this, you know, but because they're getting to different things and then merging them together and discarding
Yeah, but when we were talking about indigenous knowledge earlier, we said it comes about by people staying in a place and interacting with the environment over time. So what if this is a result of our environment changing? There's colonialism that has come about, changing our environment. So in a way, yes, we've lost some knowledge, but also what she said, some knowledge has been transformed because of our environment.
Yes, exactly. I think all that is correct.
Yeah, I think also you can add it. Because, for instance, in Goma, city in Goma, I discovered that they added like a new practice. And they call it functional thing. But it's not.
It's not traditional.
It's called kitchen party. It's something before the marriage. I don't know how to explain it. But after doing some kind of research, I discovered that maybe that practice came from Nigeria.
So it's fused with something else which came from Nigeria.
That's in Western Uganda. Well, it's been there for a long time.
Okay. So IK can be transformed, lost, Diluted, adulterated. By the way, what do you mean by adulterated? Like, a very good example is honey. You find honey which is adulterated. So you have honey, but the bulk of it is actually sugar or molasses. So it's not really honey. Yeah? But they sell to you as honey, but it's not quite.
It's like ghee, they add bananas.
Yes, like ghee, they add bananas. Huh? Sometimes even milk.
Yeah.
Milk.
They add water.
Not even water. they add starch.
Yeah.
Starch, milk to starch. So to thicken it a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's adulteration. It's being sold to you as milk or as honey, but it's not really it. Huh? And you find a lot of adulteration in traditional medicine.
Yes.
Traditional medicine. What we call quacks have infiltrated the business. So let's think really seriously about that statement as we move along. But then my question is it always bad to change? Is it always bad to change? For indigenous knowledge to transform too? Or is it always good?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yes.
Why?
I think it's good
Yes.
in cases where some of the knowledge was actually causing more harm than
Yes. Let's listen to this.
But
it's good in cases where the knowledge was causing
more harm than good.
More harm than
But it's bad in the case where someone convinces you that what you have is bad and what they are bringing to you is good.
Okay, good. Yes? Yes? Some other contribution? Is it always good? Is it always bad? To change? Yeah?
Well, I'm thinking about, say, for example, slash and burn.
Slash and burn.
Yeah, this has been around for a really long time as a way of clearing the land.
Yes.
And it's considered to be good.
Yes.
Because it's resetting, the ash is bringing some
Yes.
nutrients to the soil.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, you're killing all of the biodiversity which
Yes.
exists in that soil there.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but I always wonder with slash and burn, all this like, is it bad or is it
good?
Good, because a lot of people are choosing to use
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Sometimes maybe it's not so black and white.
Yes. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
changing.
Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Like when you slash and burn, you create a habitat for other species that couldn't really occupy that. So you actually encourage other forms of biodiversity to come in. Yeah. But at the same time, you are pumping CO2 into the atmosphere. And so there's all these pros and cons. But that's what I wanted you to know, that there are positive aspects of that continuum or that change or transformation, but there are also other negative aspects. And these are things which are going to emerge as we move along. So let's not be fixed to say it's bad or it's good, but look at it from
bigger brush.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
About a cousin who told me
Yes.
he thinks in chicken.
Yes.
Like he has when you're having a conversation with him,
He has to think
he has
in
first thinking the local language and
translate
translate it.
yeah.
And yet like for me thinking English. And now like I'm seeing where they're saying local languages in the lower grades.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah.
I don't have like backup for this, but there's
Yeah.
information out there about how starting with your like indigenous language
Yes,
has
yeah,
certain
yeah,
benefits.
yeah,
So
yeah.
from a person who is informed about like the genetics and
Yes, yeah,
everything, like,
yeah.
what's the rationale from that? And I've heard that Tanzania is already doing so. What's the advantage of that?
Of promoting your own.
Like starting with your indigenous
indigenous,
language,
yeah. We all think in a certain language. You have And that may change depending on the situation. For example, you can think in English. You would say you think in English. But I'm sure there are certain situations which come and then you switch slightly to your own local language. If you speak, but maybe sometimes you are not aware of it. You are not aware of it. But of course, whatever is easier, that's what we normally go for. You think in a language where you can express yourself better.
Yeah, but then
but is it? I didn't really have a choice because I get to learn English first. Yeah. And now when I'm speaking my local language and there are words I can't use.
Yeah, there are words.
And then I go to English. And then people think it's disrespectful.
Yes.
How dare you?
Yeah. But anyway, so all those you will find yourself in all those situations. And language is one medium which of course is used for communication, but it has a lot of cultural elements in it. There are expressions you can best do in your local language. Your expressions can come out best in English, for example. And we find ourselves in daily conversations facing those difficulties. For example, when and you cannot translate a language to mean exactly the same as the other language. And I know you know that already. It can never be the same because a language grows in taking into consideration the environment, the people, and all sorts of many other factors. So you cannot say exactly a word can be replaced by another word. Exactly, it's different. Even those who do translations, they know that already.
So there's something that I use in terms of like brain
evolving.
Yeah, since I don't use since I use like in my indigenous language.
Yeah.
Why use out in terms of brain involvement if
I would say so to some extent because you are not exploiting your own capacity. We know people who can speak up to 10 languages, right? Like me, I can speak 5 nearly fluently. But still my brain capacity can probably take much more than that. Yeah. And the more you take, the more cultures you incorporate in your thinking. Yeah? Because as you say, language, expression has all these aspects, elements of culture in them. All these elements of culture. And as we say at the very beginning, language evolves. Like you have Creole, you have Kampala language, English, for example. And you have all these street people, they have their own language. And when they say something, if you are not part of it, you may not understand it. But if you are part of that environment, and you get it clearly, you get it very well. Yes. So anyway, I put this statement here because culture and indigenous knowledge, they are very closely linked to your local language or your indigenous language. And that's why probably many governments everywhere are encouraging the revival and the study of indigenous languages. Let's switch gear a little bit. Let's switch gear a little bit and now come to some of the issues that we would like you to address. Of course, even as we talk about this, don't forget about indigenous knowledge, because we are going to relate this to indigenous knowledge. Okay. Perhaps before I talk about this, where does nutrition come from? Your health, your goodness, your health, what does it come from? It comes from food. What you eat, It comes from this.
To me, it comes from the whole lifestyle.
It mainly comes from food. It mainly comes. Of course, there are many other aspects, like the fact that you are exercising or not, the fact that you live in a terrible environment or not, or the fact that you are living in stress or not. All those other factors. But those other factors constant. The main determinant of health is food. I got involved in a survey, global survey, that looked at the main determinants of our health. What determines your health? And the number one aspect was actually food. And that's why that's in agreement with the saying, you are what you eat. Food was the main determinant. Globally, a study which was conducted in more than 180 countries. Food is the main determinant of health and nutritional status. But now, where does food come from? Of course, it has to come from somewhere. Food comes from plants, it comes from animals. We say it also comes from mushrooms. True?
Yes.
And also by some bacteria sometimes, especially in what fermentation, for example. Bacteria are also involved in processing. So in food you find plants, find animals, fungi, bacteria, all those. They contribute to our food. And if we take an aspect like plants, let's take plants. Plants, for example. There are plants which are good at giving us certain types of nutrients, for example. Like, you know maize, eh? You also know millets. You have, you call it in many cases, oblo, sorghum, for example. Sorghum? Huh? Sorghum, what do you call sorghum?
Mugush.
Huh? Mugush. And you? Sorghum. You know sorghum, eh? I'll show you that. You don't eat sorghum. You don't eat sorghum. Or you have grown in an environment where there's sorghum.
They grow maize.
Yes, maize and so on. Let's listen to this so that we go very quickly. So there are these foods that our earth or evolution gave us, or if you believe in God, God gave us, that give us energy. And these are what we call cereals: maize, sorghum, wheat, oat. You can go on and on and on. Even bananas, they give us energy. Cassava gives us energy. But now, cassava, those are roots. Cereals are the maize, the sorghum, and so on and so forth. And the main purpose contributing, what they contribute is energy. I am being simple because of our background. Eh? But also plants give us nutrients that make us grow and repair our bodies. What do we call those types of nutrients? So we have seen starch. Now, what makes our children grow? Proteins. Eh? Also plants give us proteins, which make us grow. And in case you've been hurt, they also contribute to the repair of our bodies. Eh? Plants that give us proteins mainly belong to certain groups. there's a group known as legumes.
Yes.
Legumes, eh? What do you call legumes? Some of the legumes you have.
Lentils.
Lentils,
Lentils.
beans, peas. Let's continue. Soya. Those are legumes. And they are rich in protein. Many of them have 20+% protein. Is that okay? Okay. And then there's another group. There's another group of plants that gives us protection. That have what we call the vitamins. Like fruits. Yes. Fruits would be rich in what we call vitamin C. Yeah? And then there are others which have different colors, like purple. You split a purple, sometimes it's orange, yellow, mango, you know mango? Those with sort of orange, yellow colors, they are rich in vitamin A, and of course some are just colors. And then there are those which are rich in another group of chemical elements which are important in our body, known as minerals. Minerals. For example, iron, which is good for your blood. You don't have enough iron, you suffer from anemia. Yes, you lose, and your eye becomes, your eyes start whitening. You press your any part of your body. Takes time for the blood to come back to that place.
That's true.
Yes? So, iron, calcium, which is good for your bones, phosphorus, which is good for your bones and teeth. Just basic, I'm just covering basic. Is that okay?
Yes.
So you have minerals, you have vitamins, you have starch, you have protein. Let's continue. And then there's another group of elements which are really not considered nutritional factors, but good for your immunity, boosting your immunity. And what are those? It's what we call elements that contain what we call polyphenols, for example, phenolic compounds. You probably have heard of things like xanthophylls. Sorry. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. I'll try to be as simple as possible. Look at this. Have you seen wine?
Yeah.
It has color. What is that color? Color. The red wine. And I know you also know about other fruits that have those funny colorations. Even maize. You know maize which is colored?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's purple, there's maize which is yellow. That yellow maize is yellow because of vitamin A. But that purple colored or dark purple colored maize is rich in these other funny chemicals I'm calling that it belongs to another class of compounds. And that other class of compounds is good for your immunity. They are what we call generally as antioxidants. You probably have come across that term. What are antioxidants? Antioxidants are chemicals that prevent your body physiology from working on itself, or they are those chemicals that can hurt your cells, sometimes even your genes, in a process known as oxidation, and they prevent that occurring. And those are known as antioxidants. Oxidation, antioxidant. Clear?
Yes.
Very good examples are those chemicals, phenolic compounds, Also, some of the vitamins we talk about, vitamin A is a good antioxidant, vitamin C is a good antioxidant, vitamin K is a good antioxidant, vitamin E is a good antioxidant. Okay, so how many classes have we come up with? Proteins, starch, carbohydrates, let's continue. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. Now, if you miss any of this, there will always be some consequence. If you mix any of this, or if your child misses any of this, there will be some consequence. And in many cases, these should be eaten in a certain proportion. Are we okay then? Yes. They should be eaten in a certain proportion. For example, you can't say, I'll eat an orange today, and then after 1 week. There should be some order, some proportion. There's a certain amount required by your body. Is that okay? Okay. So, if your body does not get enough of any of those, there will be repercussions. It's very basic. There will be repercussions. Okay. Is that okay with you now? Yes. Is that okay with you? Okay. We said this food comes from things which are in our environment. If it's a carrot, it has come from somewhere in your environment. But if it's a vegetable, it has come from somewhere. Okay. Now, let's look at one group like maize, sorghum, millets. This one group providing starch. Yeah. Let's listen to this. Whatever you get from maize, the proportion of starch, maize has also some protein, and some of these other elements we are talking about. The proportion is different in maize than in millet, than in oat, and in wheat. So even though they all provide starch, their nutritional composition, or what we call profile, will be different. Yeah. True or false? True. True or false? True. Okay, even let's come to the legumes. You have beans, you have soya, you have cowpeas, you have lentils, and so on and so forth. Even though they all come from the same group, what they provide will be different. I want us to have that understanding. Yes. Will be different. True? Okay. Even though they come from the same group, the more we diversify, the more legumes we have, the better for us, or not so. The more we diversify, the better for us.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yes.
Let's think about it like this. You eat maize. Posho, right? Posho. Yes, chapati. Wheat. And you eat wheat and posho. You eat wheat, katogo, with matoke, and posho, the three of them. So you eat one, you eat two types, you eat three types. Who is better nutritionally?
3 times.
Okay. Let's be together. So diversity is good for nutrition. Yes or no?
Yes.
Diversity is good for nutrition and for health. Yes. Yes. So if you eat diverse things, you'll tend to give your body what it needs.
Yes.
Even the minute elements. True or false?
True.
Okay. Yes. Ask your question.
So let me say I have an understanding that
Yes.
my breakfast has to have
Diversity.
herbs, right?
Yes.
And then I'm like, okay, in terms of time,
Yes. Weetabix makes a lot of sense. Yeah, or even French fries. Yes, yeah. So French fries, morning, lunch, dinner. Tomorrow the same. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But I have
other things you are eating.
Other cups.
Yes, sources of cut.
Other meals.
Yeah.
Is that fine, or do I have to like?
It's still fine, but what you are saying is, it's you need to diversify. So if it's Weetabix, it's from the company and also from wheat. Huh? It's true, eh? But then there's somebody who you can also diversify and have an oatmeal, which is probably not part of your tradition. You can also diversify and have what we call porridge from millet. So the more diverse your meal gets, the better it is in terms of nutrition. But you can also look at it from the source. The more diversity you consume, the better for you. Is that okay? Let's have that understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you a very, very simple example. Let's talk about vegetables. How many vegetables do the Basoga have, for example? Huh?
They have the basic four.
The basic four.
Onion, tomato, and green pepper. Then they may have aubergine or eggplant. Entula, I don't know.
Entula.
They are called garden
eggs. They can have like a variation of garden eggs, the small ones and the big ones. Roughly they come to 6.
Okay.
6 I can.
Okay. So it's okay. So you have 6. Let's listen to this. You have also traditional vegetables. What we call indigenous vegetables.
Oh.
Yes, the vegetables that your mother grew up growing and also eating.
Growing lettuce?
Probably not.
No.
Okay.
Maybe
Now, that is one of the serious problems you are facing now. Loss of knowledge. Lots of what? Knowledge. Because for you now, you probably don't know what your granddad and grandmother was using. Yet, if I go to Basoga, I know I can come up with like 20 types of vegetables your grandma was eating. But now that knowledge was not transferred from her to you. So you miss it, Exactly what we are talking about. Because what you are mentioning, carrot is originally from the southern part of Europe, Mediterranean region, Western Asia. Cabbage, sukuma wiki, the same region. Let's continue. Tomatoes from South America, the Andes. Let's continue. Onions, also European, Euro-Asia. Yes. Eggplants, Asia.
Garden eggs.
Garden eggs. What are they?
They are
okay. Ndula. Ndula. They are indigenous.
Oh. Yeah, those. I think they are.
Yeah. So anyway, so here, look at this. I want us to get this because it's a case we are building, It's a case we are building. So in our case, she can only mention only one indigenous vegetable and probably 5 exotics, because that knowledge was not passed to you. And if you lose the knowledge, what is likely to happen? Can you use that vegetable if you don't know how it is used, how it is prepared? It's not possible. So you lose both the knowledge and the practice. Huh? Yes, you lose both the knowledge and the practice. The skill of preparing that particular food and the skill of growing it. Okay. So, but let's still continue building the case. So we say diversity is good, eh? Okay. In Uganda, I know from my botanical lessons, there could be like 4,000 to 5,000 indigenous plants in Uganda.
Indigenous?
No, I didn't come to edible. Indigenous plants. That's what do we say? What do we mean by indigenous? That, as far as we know, have always grown on this Ugandan soil. Kenya may be around. Kenya is bigger, around 7,000. Tanzania is much bigger, around 9,000. So East Africa altogether, because some of them are East Africans, we could be talking about 15,000 species of plants here. We are building a case, eh? Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yes.
And barely any indigenous.
Yes.
Was that engineered?
No. It was not indigenous. Maybe not some. In some cases, not. It's from the way we have developed. In many cases, the way we have developed, and a lot has to do with our history. A lot has to do with our history. Okay. Yes.
I was just going to add to that.
Yes.
I think a lot also has to do with agriculture.
Yes.
The indigenous species are more likely to find it in a garden,
Yes.
in a home garden, and then when you start getting into growing big quality, and that's when you get into the things that you know people are going to like, the carrots,
Yes.
the greens are going to bring.
Yeah. Okay, let's listen to this again. So, 5,000 species in Uganda. I know from my research in Uganda and also in sub-Saharan Africa, 1 out of every 8 or 9 species in any country, most of these countries, is an edible plant. 1 out of, let's say 10. 1 out of 10. So, let's take Uganda now, a flora of Uganda, which has 5,000 species. What is 1 out of 10 is 10%, eh? How many species are we talking about?
500.
So, you are saying at least Uganda has at least 5,500 species that are edible. And you are saying vegetables, fruit. You know some of them, tamarind, for example.
Yeah.
It's a very good indigenous example of indigenous. That one you will see in the market. Eh? Huh? Okay. Then, yes. Then then you have, for example, those in the north, you have now their kale, their poths from the north. And in the south, you probably have called them by names like dodo, suga, or suga is
Shriek.
and sweet. Yeah, sweet, yeah. So you have those vegetables and fruits and all sorts of things which are part of the 500 we are talking about. So, but then you could only mention like 1 out of those 500. How about the rest? Where are they?
But I thought we were talking vegetables. I didn't think like leaves were qualifying.
Okay. From my own research, from my own research, okay, two out of those 10 are vegetables.
Wait.
So, yes, 2 out of those 10 are vegetables.
The rest are fruits?
4 out of those 10 are fruits. We talked about...
Okay, I know that
yeah.
onion comes from
You
the ground.
understand what I mean?
Comes from the ground.
Yes.
Then that... Ah!
So in Uganda, if 2 out of those, 2 out of 10, that's 2%, 20% of 500. What's 20% of 500? That's 100, right?
Yeah.
That means if I go to all the communities in Uganda, I'll have 100 plus types of vegetables.
Yeah.
But how many of those find their way to the market, to our food system?
Very few.
Probably very few. Probably very few. Okay. Maybe before I go to this, let's go to another slide. Just down somewhere.
This one?
I wanted you to look at this figure. And this is typical of many countries in Africa. And this only relates to vegetables. The 100 I talked about in Uganda. This is the scenario. You find what is green is collected from the wild. And that's where you have the kale, the ododo, the ndula, not the ndula, the ntwiga. It's collected from the wild. And only a small percentage is cultivated. People have made an effort to get it from the wild to cultivation. A very good example is the ododo. Some people are now cultivating it.
Yes.
But then there are those that have remained wild, which is a small percentage. Are you getting it? So the majority, so what you are eating, what you mentioned, it's only one species out of the 100. Which one did you mention? The Ntula.
The Ntula.
The Ntula. Because the others are not indigenous, they are exotic.
Is it possible that we don't even know about most of the things that are edible? Like in
Yes.
the 90%?
Yes, yeah.
So
It means
there's food around and I don't know about
it means there's a lot of food around and yet we don't know about it. There's a lot which is edible, but it's not. We don't know about it. And it goes for, these are vegetables, fruits, even roots. I'm sure some of you, if you are growing in the villages, there are things you used to dig from the ground and peel and eat. Probably those who have grown in the rural areas. But because he's a Kampala guy, that knowledge he doesn't have. Because maybe either your parent or even yourself, after school, you came to Kampala and became a Kampalian. So that knowledge you don't have. You lost it already. Yeah? 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 Yeah?
When I see this data, I'm
Yeah.
inclined to wanting the green part, maybe to go into the dark green part, right?
Okay.
But then there is the...
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, but then like there is the... I stand
You
to
would,
be corrected.
she's saying she would like to have more.
Yeah.
Go here. Cultivated, eh?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I stand to be corrected.
Yes.
If majority of the food that serves the world comes from Africa,
Yeah.
hence the economics making sense, like what you say, whereby the more cereal crops
Yes.
will be the ones planted.
Yes.
How can I get that 90?
Yes.
Even if it doesn't make sense.
Exactly. Now, just a moment. What Why do you think the carrot has made it that far and not maybe that root which I'm talking about in the village? Why do you think so?
It's because it's been marketed.
Marketed?
Yes.
Promoted?
Yes.
Promoted.
It has been proven that it's worth the value it has. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe the knowledge about the benefits of TICAH.
They are well known. It also tastes nice. Delicious. Yes.
Yeah, sugar.
I like this discussion.
Could it
Yes.
have something to do with the fact that it's very distinctive? Like when you
Yes.
see a carrot, you can never mistake it for something else?
Yes, but do you think the carrot started from the way it is?
No.
It's a humble beginning. It started like the way it is now?
No.
Maybe they
I once watched a show.
Yes.
It's about food.
Yes.
And they sort of debunk the
Myths.
myths about food, and this time around it was the carrot and
Yes.
the so-called benefits
Yes.
for our eyes.
Yes.
And it was something like it started with a certain war.
Yes.
And they marketed the carrot and
Yeah.
everything, and
Yeah.
the carrot became
Yeah.
a famous
The
vegetable.
famous carrot.
Yeah.
That could be true, but also the carrot is rich in.
Yeah.
The carrot is rich in what we call carotene, beta carotene, which is the precursor to your vitamin A, which is in your body. The body makes vitamin A. We call it retinol.
Yeah.
We call it retinol. But if you guess, the retinol comes from carotene, beta carotene. That's the orange thing you see in carrot. So it's okay. It's rich in pro-vitamin A, as we say. So it's not bad. But my question is, did it start like that? No. Maybe it's very humble beginning. It was a tiny thing. Just a small thing growing in the wild. People picked it, cultivated, selected. It went through a process of selection, bigger, until it became the way it is. And then companies, multinationals, companies took it up and now developed their own specific variety, which they sell to you as seeds. That's the story. Yeah? That is the story. So carrot successful. Why? Because one companies got into it, and they are marketing it throughout the world now. But it wouldn't be the same for a kale. But once they get companies get the seed, of course it will spread through to other. So commercialization is one thing, which brought about the spread of these crops. But now, as we are told, we as humans are limiting ourselves because look at this diversity. It's so huge, yeah? And we say diversity is good for our health.
Yes.
Yet, we are only eating a small portion. We are using only a small portion. Well, this is what is calculated of what potentially can be used. If we look at food globally, much of our energy comes from just a few crops. Let's mention them. Maize, wheat, rice, perhaps sweet potatoes. Yes, those are the major ones. And then the others now: oat, rye, millets, sorghum. They are slightly below. So if you look at our food systems, our food comes from just a narrow base, what we call a narrow base. Not many crops. because a lot of that has not gone into our global food system. I want you to look at that, because that, I'm going to explain that more.
I think it's really interesting and
Yes.
important.
Yes.
Somehow our view of something being cultivated is
Yes.
that it's more accessible and available to people. Yeah, so if there's more of these wild species that are in cultivation, the idea is that that will be better for people. They'll have more access to the ingredients. But actually, because of so much of the problems we experience in climate change being caused by the cultivation of food, it's actually possibly an advantage that so much of this food is in the wild, and it's us who need to learn how to engage with the process of finding and understanding it, rather than bringing it into cultivation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure you go to your village now and you engage your grandmother, you'll find lots of stuff you can eat in the wild.
Yeah.
It's just growing naturally. And we are going to see okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it. At the beginning of this lesson, we said we eat to get that protein, vitamins, minerals,
and
antioxidants. I know many of you like the cabbage.
Yes.
Dodo. This is dodo, Amaranth. Forget about moisture. Let's come to iron. We said iron is good for our blood,
Yes.
Okay. Amaranth dodo is this one and this one.
Are you
Wow.
serious?
Yes. These are facts. These are facts.
Wow.
We need iron,
Yes.
especially for you women. You need iron
Yeah.
because of your monthly occurrence. You lose a lot of it. And even after pregnancy, you need it.
Yeah.
You need a lot of iron. I know many cultures that is their culture to incorporate iron-rich vegetables during lactation and before and during pregnancy because of the iron. Vitamin C, iron, vitamin C, cabbage is rich in vitamin C, but only if you eat it raw, because you tend to lose a lot when you boil it. But look at vitamin A. We say vitamin A is one of the most important vitamins. Very important, especially for a growing child, but also for your eyes and your skin. So, beta carotene. We say in plants is beta carotene, when it goes to your body is vitamin A. Okay, so look at that. Cabbage is not even, can't even see. So, if I want my child to get vitamin A, do I feed with cabbage or dodo?
Dodo.
Of course. Cooking vitamin A. Vitamin A is listen to this. Some of these vitamins, like vitamin C, they dissolve very well in water. So vitamin C is found in an orange, water medium. Vitamin A likes fat, oil. That's why when you fry your carrots and your nyanya is what? Tomato sauce. You see the whole thing turns If you fry it, because it dissolves in oil. So some vitamins dissolve in oil, others dissolve in water. So provitamin B is dissolved in oil. Okay, then you have the B's, the B complex. So we have vitamin A, vitamin B. It's a complex of more than 12. Then C. Then you have D, you associate with the sun and so on and so forth. Now, look, vitamin B's. And many of these vitamin B's are important for a child when they are growing because you are genetic material. Genetic material. You've heard of DNA. DNA. What makes you you? What makes her? Comes from the structure from vitamin B. Some of the vitamin B's. And even your energy. Just touch your next door neighbor. Are they cold or warm? Cold. Warm. What maintains that temperature? Exactly. What maintains your temperature is actually from vitamin B. So B's are important for growth. Like folic acid, when you are those who have given birth, you are given folic acid because of the child development. Folic acid. So for child development, your muscles, your energy, that's why you are hot. You are warm. It's because of vitamin B. So look at the source. B2. That's a different subject. And then of course you have calcium. We talked about calcium, phosphorus, and so on and so forth. So we are getting into this. This will be our culture now. It's our culture now. Fast food, Okay, so that amount of calories. Now, get that. So our food system, we are changing our diets very fast, especially many of us who are living in cities. And that's why now, because we are consuming highly refined foods. Chapati is one of them.
Yes.
And I saw popcorn somewhere. Yes, refined food. And you are chips. You have mandazis here?
Yes.
And probably those ones which have a lot of energy.
Coca-Cola.
Yes, I won't mention. Because we are going this way. Let's go to the next one. Because we are moving away from this. What is this, by the way? Matoke?
Cassava.
Cassava?
Yes, cassava.
Yam.
Duma. Not yam. This is not yam. It's cocoyam. Or taro.
Is it purple?
Yes, purple. It's taro. Taro. And then millet porridge. And then matoke. We are moving. This is not highly refined.
Yeah.
To really highly refined stuff. Including sugar in our tea. Very nice. You like it?
Yeah.
So this is now where we are going to.
Yeah.
And that is hurting our food system. I mean our health. Our health. That's hurting our health.
What's interesting about this
Yes.
is that the diversity is on the side of, say, for example, the taro and the cassava
Yes.
and the forage. But nowadays, the
Diverse. That's good observation.
But the way that you're presenting the refined foods, there's a variety of ways you cook them, but you're eating the same thing.
The same thing.
So mandazi,
More of the
bread,
same
chapati,
thing.
It's all made of the same thing.
Yeah.
Might be prepared differently, but it's the same bleached
Same.
refined grain.
Yes.
So,
listen to this. It's a message you are passing, and we hope you can pick it up.
Yeah.
And use your ingenuity, artistic ways, spreading that. Because it's not typical of Uganda. It's everywhere globally. It's a global problem. Big global problem. Big global problem. Okay, so, and if you look at this is what we grow in our farm. And much of this is what we get from our supermarkets.
Yes.
The supermarkets and fast food. Okay, let's go down. Now look at this. This data is for Kenya. It's for Kenya. But I guess the same is the same for Uganda. Look, these are incidences of diabetes. We started very low in 2000, very low. And then it's going up, and now it's just shooting. What is diabetes? What do you call it in Uganda? Scan. When I was growing up, I couldn't cite anyone with diabetes. Anyone. Up to the time I went to the university. But now, in my family, it's there. In my family. And everyone at least knows somebody in their family or other who has diabetes. And why is it like that? Because of the reasons we gave there. Food. I said food is the biggest contributor of what we call non-communicable diseases, which are cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, and those heart diseases, and to some extent obesity. So now, currently in Kenya, the sad story is 2 out of every 30 adults, they are diabetic. They may not know. Sometimes they may not know, but you are, or you are predisposed. Not predisposed, but you are pre-diabetic. You get what I mean? The incidences are just shorter. And it's becoming worse, as you can see from the graph. I think let's stop there for lunch, and then maybe we can change the tune a little bit in the afternoon. Let's have lunch. We said diversity is good because it provides us with diverse foods for our recipes, but also for our nutrition. For our recipes and also for our nutrition. Let's look at that garden. And if you want, we can compare it with the rice field or the sugarcane field you have seen somewhere. Okay, let's see. What can you see there? What diversity can you see there? This is one. What are these? These are goats? Banana? There's a bit of maize. Pumpkins. There's some pumpkins. Trees. Mango. Who can see a dog somewhere?
Serious?
Yeah? There's a dog somewhere. Dog somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may not be very clear, but let me ask you. Do you see protein somewhere there?
Yeah. No.
Do you see carbohydrates there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you see minerals there?
Yes. Pumpkin.
Yes. Do you see vitamins there?
Yes.
Huh? Exactly. So that means if you are the member of the household or the person responsible for the nutrition of the household, do you feel secure when you have all these things around?
Yes.
Are you resilient? Yes. You are resilient because you know you have this. And in case something happens, you can always turn to your animals and so on and so forth. So, what I want to say here is, diversity not only gives you good nutrition, but resilience also. And it lowers the risks of the household. Huh? It lowers risks. Because in case something fails, in case the maize fails, you still have the pumpkins. Huh? In case the pumpkins fail, you still have the bananas. That's something else I wanted you to consider. Diversity lowers risks. Because why? Because in case something fails, something else is there to take its place. You get what I mean, eh? So diversity lowers risks in a household or in a family. You understand what I mean, eh? It lowers the risks. And then the other thing is, where do I take the manure from the goats?
To the garden.
To the garden. Huh? So it's a system which is self-sustaining. Eh?
Yeah.
So the goats eat the trash, and the trash goes back to the garden. So it's a system which is closed, self-sustaining system. So in this system, there may be no necessity for organic fertilizer because it's already here, inorganic fertilizer. You see that sort of system? So it is a rich source of nutrients. It's environmentally friendly. It's good for the world. It's good for the earth. It's good for the health of the earth. Do you see that? Everyone is happy. Everyone is happy in such a system. But if you go monoculture, what happens? You only grow one of these. And you not only affect the other species, but you also affect the quality of the soil in the long run. You affect the system, the entire system, the quality of the soil, the microbes, the insects that feed in that system, you affect them. So, monoculture is not good for biodiversity. Where do we get more indigenous knowledge? In this sort of system or in a monoculture? Where there is only one species, like rice. Where do we get more indigenous knowledge? In this sort of system.
Yes.
In this sort of system. This one is inherited. So our forefathers, our foremothers were not wrong. Okay, let's look at this, the next one after this. Who can see something in that table about biodiversity? I have mango, I have pawpaws, I have guava, citrus fruits. Who can say something when you look at it? Yes, just say something.
I'm seeing a lot of intercropping.
Yeah, if you intercrop and you have more diversity, almost every month you have something to eat, food all year round, fruits all year round. It's just like in the market in Kampala. Where does the food come from? From the villages, eh?
Yes.
And you see, in January you have something, February you have something, and so on and so forth and so forth. So diversity ensures that every month there is something. You see that?
Yes.
So that's why we are saying diversity is good. Because diversity ensures that, at least for vitamins, every month there is something. Every season there is something. But if you depend on only one crop, like mango, it's only one season and boom, it's gone. And that's the beauty of diversity. And that translates to diversity on the table, in your meals, and health in the family. Let's go a little bit down, and then I'll show you something else which I didn't show you. We talked about colored maize and white maize. This is white maize, completely white. White maize.
Wow.
So in terms of vitamin A, 0. Vitamin A, lycopene is that chemical you find in tomato, which is good for your eyes. Look at this. Lutein, xanthine, these are colored chemicals which are good for immunity, for your immunity. Look at this. Something and nothing. And this is only yellow maize. So this colored maize is a little bit richer than the yellow maize. So the analysis would even be even better. There's something we call total antioxidant activity. Yani, how protected you are in terms of immunity. So this yellow maize has 10.24. Don't worry about the details, but white maize has that. Many of you may not be exposed to this, but you know senene. Yeah, especially as you go toward Bukoba, at certain times of the year, people are really happy they are harvesting senene. Eh?
Oh, yes.
They like them. Eh? How about this?
Delicious too.
People in Congo, southern part of Congo forest, they like this.
Yeah.
You go to Zambia market, this really at certain times of the year, full of this.
Yeah.
It's a delicacy. It's culture. You may not like it. You may not like it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
But it's food for certain people. Huh?
Yeah.
And quite nutritious, eh? Quite nutritious. Is this child malnourished? No.
No.
It's not malnourished. Let's see. Who knows what these are? What do you call them? Flying termites, eh? Nswa. We also call them doa. Yeah, flying termites, eh? Huh? And they are eaten across Africa.
Yeah.
Plenty of them during the rainy season. Eh? And there are many types. Some come out in the evening, others during the day when it's raining. Now, termites, the proteins of the future. Those termites may be the proteins of the future because we are all running away from red meat, especially in Europe. In some countries, they have banned red meat. I know in Denmark we have done it. Red meat, eh? Because it's harmful to our health, red meat. Eh? So, in the absence of red meat from cows, where do we go to? Other forms of protein. And insects are the next form of protein. But now, I just wanted to show you. Look at this. Termite. Compare the termite with fish, soybean, and beef. Who is better, even without knowing what it is? What is more nutritious? Termites. Termites are more nutritious by far than meat. And even fish. Fish is considered very nutritious. But look at it. But now, even so, look at this. Protein, and this is just for your own consumption. Protein is a long molecule made of what we call amino acids. Amino acids. Protein is a long molecule made of amino acids. Some amino acids are not synthesized in your body. You can't synthesize them. And those ones you cannot make are known as essential amino acids. And these ones are essential amino acids, which you cannot make. But look, that one. Look at termites, how rich they are in what we call essential amino acids. You see that? These are facts, and we cannot run away from them. These are just facts. That means, forget about everything else, but termites are more nutritious than the meat you eat, than the fish you eat. Yes?
Yeah, about the sources
red
of
meat.
Protein, how come in the fitness world the white meat is presented as the one that is rich in protein, like chicken and fish, versus beef?
Okay. Beef has several disadvantages. Why we are running out of beef? One, environmental considerations, and two, health. Because one, environmental, because beef production is like cattle rearing or keeping, especially large-scale cattle production, is one of the activities that is contributing to greenhouse gases in huge quantities. Cows, you see when they poo, a lot of that is converted to greenhouse gases. So we pollute the atmosphere, or we pump more greenhouse gases, and therefore what? Greenhouse gases, and therefore what? Global warming. So cows are contributing to global warming. Cows are contributing to something else. Two, once it rains, what happens? Once it rains, all that ammonia, chemicals, all of them are leached to groundwater. The water we drink, and therefore contamination of groundwater. That's another second environmental problem cows bring. But termites don't bring that.
This is my question.
And then the third thing, which is now nutrition, meat as meat. Our body system was not built for meat. Digestion.
Yeah, that's true.
Your system was not constructed to digest meat. It's a recent development. It's a recent development. Your body system is meant to eat what is gathered from the field, and that is termites.
I have a question.
So you take a lot of energy to digest the meat.
I have a question.
And it also has side effects on your system.
So all these things.
Yes.
I think the problem comes when they are highly consumed.
Highly consumed.
Yes. For example, meat.
Meat. Yes.
Yes. So when
so we
people
consume a lot. Yes.
I would agree that people would take in high consumptions of meat and never take in termites, right? And my question is, we were talking about the greenhouse gases.
Gas. Yes.
Don't termites have that?
They also have that.
Yes.
To some extent.
Yes. And this is, I feel like the reason why it's being regulated right now is because they're not on a high, they're not highly consumed. Because if they're also highly consumed,
you think so?
Yes, we would also be having that. We'll be having the same. I think we'll be having the same error happen.
Yeah,
so
but up to today, you cannot grow termites. You just collect from the wild. So whether you are consuming or not, termites will continue to be there. So farming has not been tried or even successful because it's a very complex process, which involves, the termite mound is an ecosystem on its own. It's an ecosystem on its own. So reproducing that ecosystem in artificially becomes really challenging. And that's why you also see mushrooms. There are specific types of mushrooms that grow on termite mounds. The ones we call termitomyces, and most of them are edible. What you see growing on termite mounds, they are edible. It's part of the system because they come from gardens that are maintained by these termites. Fields that are maintained by this term. So it's a complex system which is hard to reproduce. So whether you are eating them or not, they still continue.
With that, exactly,
yes.
The insects.
Yes.
I would give an example of bees.
Yes.
Bees at one point, I feel like there was a point where bees couldn't be artificially mechanized. That we didn't have artificial beehives, and right now we have artificial beehives.
Yes.
Because it has been noticed that bee is marketable. Bee honey.
We need bees. If they die, we're in trouble.
We also need termites.
Yes. Yeah. Continue. Yeah. Yes. You are told.
Certain blood types.
Certain.
Blood types do well with meat, like
yes.
The O type.
Yes. I'm a no.
Me too.
Yes.
So I was encouraged actually to eat meat. So how does that work with
this theory?
With this theory.
Meat. I'm not saying you don't consume meat, but perhaps in moderation. Diversify to plant sources of protein. Those are better for you because meat in the long run has its own repercussions also.
And then what happens when your body cannot break down the plant protein well? You have side effects.
That's why now she comes in the whole process of fermentation and stuff to make it easier for. Yeah. In India, there are people who have never eaten meat and they're still alive. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. So now those are the environmental aspects I felt we need really also to consider when we are thinking about food production and our health and the health of the planet. The whole issue of greenhouse gases being pumped into the atmosphere, we have already seen the effect the contribution of animals, especially large-scale production of beef. Then we have also seen the effect of monoculture on the environment. You kill biodiversity. you spoil your soil. We have also seen, those are environmental issues. We have also seen, what else did you see? Alternatives, like other forms of insects. White meat, as you said, from birds, is a good alternative. Yes. Let's see. We are concluding now. Let me see. Maybe before I go to this, I have a file there with some of the food of Uganda.
Oh, yes. I need to know what's around me that I can eat.
Yes. These are foods. These are photos I've been taking over the years whenever I travel around Uganda. And most of these are traditional foods, yeah? And in many cases, they are healthy foods, very healthy foods. Just go back before. Who can tell us what this is?
Bamboo.
Bamboo. Bamboo. In Bale, around area. You find this in Bale.
Yeah.
Bale. Yeah. What is that?
Sweet potatoes.
And this?
Malewa.
Malewa. Good. Yeah?
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes. And the way they are steamed, instead of frying, steamed is healthier.
Yes.
Yeah. What is that?
Mugoyo.
Yeah. Mixture of?
That looks like there's cassava in there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
Malewa.
Malewa again?
Yes.
This is different from what you see in Mariba. Mavira. This is what you see in. Yes. What is this? Yeah, Malua. This is traditional beer. Alcoholic drink. It's traditional alcoholic drink. With
millet.
With millet. It's made from millet.
And some soda.
Yeah. And for you to make this, sometimes you have to germinate the millet. Yeah. You see how it is taken? Okay, continue. Just go on to. What is this?
Eggs.
What is that?
Garden eggs.
Yes, eggs. Garden entula. It's there. This one is a wild climber and it's eaten by communities in Soroti area, Gulu, Lira. They eat this.
It looks like a mamba.
Yeah, it looks like a mamba.
What is that?
Mamba. It's a fish.
Catfish, Catfish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katakwi area, Soroti area. Termites we saw. I think I took this photograph somewhere, I don't know, in Gulu. Also Gulu. What are these? What are these?
They look like lentils, but I don't know.
Seeds of that slimy vegetable. What do you call it?
Okra.
Not okra.
Hey. Slimy.
Apoth. They call it apoth. It's sold in the market. They've planted a lot of it. It's an indigenous vegetable. They call it mlenda. Because it's just like okra, it's slimy.
Bo.
Not bo. Bo is cowpea.
What is cowpea?
Yes, cowpea.
The leaves of cowpea.
The leaves of cowpea. Okay, let's continue.
Cassava.
You know that one? How about this one? You know them? Yes, continue.
Cassava.
Continue. How about this one? Beans. Same stuff, continue. Now, this is the bo, the apoth. But there are two types. This is the Sudan one type. It's found in Lira, Gulu, up into Sudan. But in the south it's not available. But there is another variety which is also found in the south. Just continue. What is that? This one? Ododo. Type of ododo. Just continue.
Yeah, it looks like.
This is, you remember the vegetable I showed you, which is really nutritious? These are the seeds. They are in the market. I think this was lira.
Is that for the spider plant?
That's for the spider plant, yes. Yeah. You can grow them. You can buy the seeds from
pumpkin or sunflower.
Pumpkin.
Pumpkin.
And you know they are very nutritious. You can roast them. And
Yes, very
just continue. How about that one?
Now that's a mixture.
Malakwang is a kind of vegetable. I think for the teso. Have you ever seen the purple sweet potato?
Yes.
Purple sweet potato. And we talked about the purple color as being good as an antioxidant. That's the same one?
Blue.
Almost blue. This is the apothite. We saw the seeds earlier. And this is the spider plant.
Yes.
Yeah. Mushrooms from termite mounds. They grow from termite mounds.
I have a question.
Yes.
Should I find a mushroom on a termite hill?
It's edible. It's edible. There are many types, but you can be sure it's edible. Outside that, be careful. Depend on indigenous knowledge. If it's outside there, you know this already. From this. Okay. Let's continue. So some of the foods.
Katunkuma. Oh no.
Katunkuma.
Enemy.
I took this, I think, in Hoima. Lots of it in Hoima. Yeah?
These are nice.
Yeah? This is a chili, but the bell shaped.
Are those ones indigenous?
These ones, this particular type, and we talked about that issue, is indigenous here, although the species came from South America, but it developed in Congo. This one, this particular one, developed. Yeah?
Dodo.
Just continue. Dodo, continue. Mushrooms, eh? Same one. I think this was Hoima. Either Hoima or Masindi. What is this? Irish potato. But why do we have this?
Pieces of
okay.
Just, that's a spoon.
Okay, just continue. That's a slimy vegetable. Just continue. Now, you remember the brew?
Yes.
This is the stage. You grow it, you grow it, and then you use it as a source of enzyme. Yeah? What do you call it, by the way?
The which one?
The previous one.
Amamed.
Oh, kemere in our language is kemere. Somehow similar.
Okay, what are those?
Posho, eh?
Yeah.
And the bees are liking it, eh? Okay.
What are those bees?
That's masindi. Yeah. It's maize roasted. And cassava. Very healthy. All this is very healthy.
What's that?
That is one of the egg. No. It's a fruit, eh? Looks like one of these passions, yes. Maybe the big one, the bigger type, the big type. Oh, it's here. Oh, yeah. What do we call it? it's a kind of, anyway, let's continue. I will give you the name at some point. Yeah? Let's continue. Vegetables again. Which beans are these? These are butter beans. Eh?
Yeah,
butter beans. Eh? Look, beans came from South America, South and Central America. But when they came to Uganda, and the area around Kigezi area, across to Rwanda, that is another area where many types started occurring. Eh? So there are varieties that are indigenous to Kigezi area of beans. Eh? Okay, let's continue. Very quickly. Yeah, let's continue.
Oh, and two.
Yeah.
To
Is this
traditional? This is Kavale market. You see how diverse it is? How diverse it is. But now, check this. Not this. Just the previous one. Now the beans, eh? The beans. The beans. So, note this. What companies, multinational companies, want us to believe is you take only one that and you promote it. Just one type. Because they want uniformity and standards, certain standards. So the standard is color, size. That's why when you go to some markets, the what do you call them? Waru we call them here. Sweet potato, no potatoes. It's the same size, same color, everything same. Yeah? So multinationals go for standards. Size, color, same. But traditional farmers go for variety.
True.
Note this. The farmers keep the varieties for the multinationals to come and pick next time. Next time when they will want that color, they will come for that. Huh?
True.
And that's why we are saying some of these companies, they need to pay for biodiversity. Because farmers keep this biodiversity for them to come next time. Because they just go for one variety and they push for that one globally. So that's one problem. We call it genetic erosion. Because once you take only this one and you take the others out, that is known as genetic erosion. You have narrowed the genetics, because you've killed all the others. Are you getting the idea?
Yes, sir.
But look at this. This is Kigezi area. Lots of types of beans. Many types. Developed by farmers. And therefore, if we are not careful, we can lose all this diversity, which is not good anyway. Let's continue. Yes, with the pictures. Let's just go flip very quickly. I think we are coming to the end. Yeah, same beans. It's the same thing we saw. Anyway, I think that's And even cows. This is Mbarara area. Look at this, very special type of cow. Very, very special. Genetic resources again. Okay. Cartoon. Okay. That's it. I think that's probably it. That's a snapshot of what? Ugandan foods. And especially traditional foods. You know this one? What is that? Oyster seed, eh? The one which climbs really high. Yeah. That's sorghum.
Yes.
Sorghum. This is sorghum. And this is cassava. And this is Simpson. Sesame. Sesame is indigenous here. And what is this?
The coconut.
Palm oil. Palm oil plant. It's indigenous here. It was taken from here to Malaysia, where it's planted in huge plantations. Pumpkin. Okay, that's probably it. And this one, senene. Remember the senene? This is masaka. You know this?
Yes.
What do you call it?
Mulondo.
Mulo?
Mulondo, yeah.
Mulondo. In Kenya we call it amugombera. And there are many beliefs about it.
Yes.
Which are not true anyway.
Oh, really?
Not true. No.
Oh, so that's been.
Yes, that's
yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. Now, as we conclude, is there anyone with something they are not sure about or they would like to discuss in a little bit more detail? How many languages are there in Africa? If Uganda alone has 41, Kenya has 63, Tanzania has, Sudan has nearly 500. So how many are there in Africa?
5,000.
It's actually 2,150. 2,150. It's a great number.
Yeah.
Huge number. Huge number. And each of these, yes, nearly 500. Sudan and Cameroon and Ethiopia are leading in languages. Very many. Ethiopia, there are many, very many. Yeah, Congo, 400 languages, different languages. And these languages, language is an expression of culture.
Yes.
These present different cultures. And by different cultures, we mean different foods, different medicines, everything, clothing, whatever.
That's true.
So, that is to say, Africa is very rich in culture. Very rich in culture. Extremely rich. But the problem we are faced in Africa is that much of this knowledge is transferred from generation to generation orally. It's not written.
Lack of documentation.
This
is a very big problem for us.
It's a huge problem. As you said in the morning, people are just dying with entire libraries in their head, which is really sad. But I think UNESCO has provided a framework to document indigenous knowledge, for countries to document indigenous knowledge. And so, for example, in Kenya, we are doing that. Each county is now documenting its indigenous knowledge. each county has been, each county is supposed to document indigenous knowledge, its indigenous knowledge. So the framework is UNESCO, but the funding is the government itself. Because the government is the government which should make sure that its indigenous knowledge is documented for posterity. And by indigenous knowledge, I mean the sort of things we talked about: medicine, food, attire, songs and dance, all that. So even in Uganda, at some point, that needs to be done.
I think National Geographic has been funding a few projects.
Yeah, but it needs to be, even if it's supported from outside, it needs to be an initiative of the government, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's huge task. It's a huge task. And that's why what I'm doing now in my country, I'm going from county to county. There's 47 of them, building that capacity of documenting indigenous knowledge and archiving that using digital forms. So, digital forms, I mean audio, video, that's visual, but also writing. Yeah, but it's huge task. And unless we do that, our people will just die with all that knowledge. But there's a system of doing it, because I don't know how many of you have heard of what we call the Nagoya Protocol. Who has heard about it? Now, the Nagoya Protocol are guidelines for documenting indigenous knowledge and using it. Using indigenous knowledge. How? Nagoya Protocols says that if you have, for example, a herbal medicine, and I want to come to you to document that herbal medicine, you have to know why I'm documenting it and where I'll take that information. So there is what we call PIC, prior informed consent. Just as we do in photography. You just don't go for taking a picture of him or her aimlessly. In many cases nowadays, people can take you to court. Why did you take my photo?
Yes, they can.
So there is need for that PIC, prior informed consent. So I consent that you take my photo. Prior informed consent. You take my photo. Similarly, documentation of indigenous knowledge. There is prior informed consent why you should document my medicinal plants or my recipe. That is outlined in the Nagoya Protocol. Now, so there is prior informed consent, but there is also another aspect. If you are taking that information away from me, and perhaps you want to commercialize it, to make a drug out of it, or if it's a recipe, you develop a recipe that can now be used globally, I should get royalties.
Yes.
I should get part of that benefit.
Absolutely.
So Nagoya Protocol, Nagoya is a town in Japan. Nagoya Protocol also outlines the steps to take when you want to use her knowledge for commercial purposes. And that is known as benefit sharing agreement. There should be a benefit sharing agreement. You get that? We should be outlined very well, saying this: in case I get money out of your knowledge, a certain percentage will come to you, or your village, or your clan, if the knowledge belongs to the clan. So what am I saying here? I'm saying that the documentation of indigenous knowledge is now guided by that protocol known as the Nagoya Protocol. Can you write it down, please? Yes. So that you can read it at some point, right? And Nagoya Protocol just provides guidelines, but it's up to the countries, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, to domesticate it, to make it practical. To make it practical. So what we are doing in Kenya is just making that practical. We document, but as we document from the elders, there is that peak prior informed consent. We are taking this information from you and putting it in computers. And in case somebody wants to use that information for their own benefit, we have to come for benefit sharing agreement. Do you get that, eh?
Yes.
And that's the way we are going now. The world is going that way. The world is going that way. Otherwise, we have many examples. For example, who knows what is known as ribose tea from South Africa?
Yes.
Yeah, ribose tea. Where does it come from? It comes from a plant which the San people in South Africa, what you used to call Bushmen, long time ago, but that's derogative. What the San people used to use, it was theirs originally. Ribose tea, because they were using that in their indigenous knowledge. They were using that to be able to go for long distances without the need for water and energy. So that's what they were chewing. And then some company noticed that, and they picked that very quickly, and they developed what they call, from the same plant, ribose tea, which is now a multi-billion business, global multi-billion business. Now, the company was not giving anything to the San. So what happened? The San people went to court. You are using our medicinal, you are using our plant and our knowledge, and you are getting nothing out of it. So the judgment was there should be royalties. Yes, to the San people. And so now the San people are getting a certain percentage of the total benefits that accrue from the sale of ribose tea. So next time when you are in Europe or somewhere and you take ribose tea, you know that you're contributing to the San people in South Africa.
Like financial assistance in US as a tribe?
Yes.
We do. So who receives? Who's the San?
Okay. No, it goes like this. First of all, you have to identify where the knowledge came from, whom it belongs, to whom it belongs. So if you find that it belongs to the community, then the money doesn't go to one individual. It goes to the community. It forms of building schools, hospitals, roads, and so on and so forth. So that is indigenous knowledge documentation. And sort of in the global scene. So nowadays you cannot just go and document indigenous knowledge just like that. You need to follow certain protocols. Pick, as I said, prior informed consent, and in case you want to pursue it further, benefit sharing agreement. Access and benefit sharing. Any other issue? Any other issue? Any other issue? Any other question?
Where is that mountain located?
Oh, this one.
Yes.
It's a mountain in the northern part of Kenya, near the Ethiopian border.
Oh,
nice. It's in a desert. Just comes out of desert and it goes like 2 kilometers up. And from desert, but up there is forest because of this mist all the time. It's what we call a mist forest.